Hello and welcome back. For those of you who are at all invested into UST, the Terra USD stablecoin, that blockchain has been officially halted. It is no longer pegged to the US dollar and is no longer creating new blocks. I guess just the tokens that are out there are just freely trading on their own. If you've been in a penny stock before, this is like when a company goes gray, I believe it is, when they stop reporting, when they stop giving regular reports to Pink Sheets or OTCPinkSheets.com or anything like that. Basically, the company has just gone bust, but the shares will trade on their own, which is so weird. I still own shares of a company that has been defunct for several years, almost probably over a decade now. But the shares continue to trade, although they're not worth anything. So this will be interesting to see what happens with UST. It's worthless. What is supposed to be worth $1 is worth currently a little under 13 cents. So hope you guys got your money out of there. I would put it all into Bitcoin because that seems to be the only thing that's safe anymore. Put your money into Bitcoin. Moving on, in relation to the UST crash, U.S. Congress Research Agency is weighing on the fact that UST has crashed and in what seems to be like a run-like scenario where people seem to have understood that what was going to happen and eventually did happen was going to happen, and so they shorted it. And a lot of people, lost a lot of money, and I'm sure a lot of people made a lot of money on this as well. But regulation may be coming their way, so look out. But what I did find very interesting is I don't know exactly how true this quote is of Secretary Yellen, but she says that she also noted that the digital industry is growing very rapidly and presents similar risks to banks. Now, the depegging of stablecoins, that's what she's referring to, presents similar risk to banks. So this means that banks have the ability to have their dollars, or the dollar has the ability to lose its peg to what a dollar is valued at, I suppose. I'm not exactly sure what sort of risks she's talking about, other than maybe a bank run. But we'll see. I thought that was very interesting for her to have said that. And she's openly saying things like that banks have risks that a couple billionaires could get together and arbitrage on. So, and not to be left out, South Korea is also launching an emergency investigation into the collapse of Luna and UST. So I really hope that there's a little bit of justice that comes to, what exactly happened here. The stablecoin was algorithmically pegged to Bitcoin, and that was supposed to, keep its value. Clearly, that is not been the case, and Do Kwon and Mike Novogratz and others are, in deep doo-doo, to say the very least. So, and they've gone radio silent except for Do Kwon. Mike Novogratz has, not said anything on Twitter as far as I know. So we'll see exactly, when he speaks out, what he says, and what exactly happens to them both, because I think now at this point, they deserve to go before court and let's get some stories out of these people and exactly what's going on here. But anyway, along with that whole situation, Bitcoin has reached the Fear and Greed Index has reached a new all-time low, or at least since March 2020, of 8 on the index. I think we're at 10 just a couple of days ago, maybe 12 before that. But 8's pretty low. It's the lowest I've ever seen it. So good job. Yeah, there's nothing. Well, it is significant, I think, that March 2020, that's when the whole pandemic thing and the markets really all tanked all at the same time. For us to capitulate back to that point, I think is kind of interesting. To the fear and greed index to be that low compared to that point, when there's a lot of people that are saying recession is on the way. I'm not exactly sure about that, but the Fed is tightening, and with their quantitative tightening, they are raising their interest rates, and I believe I don't know if they have slowed down in their money printing, but I believe they're starting to sell the assets that they have on their balance sheet. So still printing money, but selling assets, just, in a weird sort of mix of moving money around, sort of cash flow sort of deal. So interesting things happening. They have another meeting, I believe, in a couple of weeks, so we'll see exactly if they raise interest rates. I believe they'll keep raising interest rates, at least till the later part of the year, until just before midterm elections in November, at which the Fed will probably start to drop interest rates to get the Democrats to stay in office, because people like it when they can have more money to spend. But anyway, moving on. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about was I was doing some little bit of math on the Bitcoin block size and the whole blockchain as a whole, and it's roughly almost 400 gigabytes. So it's not really out of the reach of any regular investor that wants to spend a couple $100 downloading the whole blockchain and setting up your own full Lightning node or a full node on your own home computer. So, but I just wanted to show y'all what would happen if the blocks were increased, like the block size wars back in 2017, 2018. But actually since then, according to Bitcoin Magazine, back in 2017, the block size limit was replaced with what was called a block weight limit of 4 million weight units. So it kind of actually increased the maximum theoretical block size to 4 megabytes, but they say it's more realistic of about 2 megabytes. And here we can see at a maximum of 1.5 megabytes currently at the maximum of megabytes per block produced in a day. And as we know, on average, blocks are produced every 10 minutes. And so it just got me thinking about how much space in the future you might need if Bitcoin were to create transactions or create blocks at full 4 megabytes theoretical value. And doing some quick maths, and I came out with if the number of blocks. So all right, here let's break this down. Let's start here. 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes in a day, so there's 1,440 minutes for a block to be produced, and they're produced every 10 minutes, so there's 144 instances per day at which a block is produced. And so if you have a maximum theoretical limit of 4 megabytes per block, that's 576 megabytes per day. And so you come up with how many gigabytes that is. That's roughly half a gigabyte per day, or 0.00, I believe that's 5/1000ths of a terabyte per day of transaction data. And so then I tried to figure out, well, exactly how many days is that if you have 1 megabyte. So then you take 1 and you divide it by that number, and that gives you 1,700 days. And so, roughly how many, years is that? So you divide by 365, and you get a little over 4 3/4 years worth of data with a 1 terabyte storage device. So that is why we kept the Bitcoin block sizes low, so that you wouldn't, like, if the block sizes were increased to 10 megabytes, this would be decreased by less than half. and therefore you'd have to go out and buy more equipment. And hopefully you would think that the cost of storage devices would go down in the long term, but that's not always the case, as we can see today with inflation. But if block sizes, as more people adopt Bitcoin and the block sizes increase, you can see that the number of if the number of blocks or the megabytes per block were increased to such a dramatic event, maybe there's 100 megabyte block or something like that. That's unsustainable, because then your storage gets filled up immediately. You have to go out and buy new storage. And then on top of that, the processing power that your computer and your full node need to process all of that data, it wears down on your computer, and you're going to need more processing power to get through all of that. And then on top of that, the work that the hardware is doing, is going to wear down and create more work and wear and tear on the equipment. So you're probably going to have to replace it sooner. And then the Bitcoin mining, I believe, also plays a factor into this, into how difficult or easy it is to mine a block. And then also, I'm not sure, but the equipment might have to have some sort of storage or RAM in it in order to process said block, and then confirm, or if the hashes need to be bigger, or how the mining really works into all of this. But just from a basic storage standpoint, you can see that having smaller blocks is obviously the way to go. So just a little lesson I thought I would bring to the table. I hope y'all subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Thank you.